So tell me when they're ready. Good morning. Test. I think I'm going to have to hold it. Man, that's tight. Test, test. Everybody hear me? Anybody got the time? It's time. It's time. Who wants to lead us in prayer?
In your kingdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Today's the birth of grace. We celebrate the risen Lord. Can I hear an amen? Amen. 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 Going to take care of a few little things, definitions before we get started. We're studying out of John 11, 1 through 55. John is the only one that covers this in all the Gospels. It's mentioned, I think, in Luke once, but not very much. I think he just mentions that Jesus went to the house of Martha and Mary. Okay, this is the last of the messianic miracles that Jesus performed before he was crucified. Okay? And it's very, very important that he raised Lazarus on the fourth day, because the Jews and the pagans believed that the spirit hung around the body for about 3 days, and then it went to Sheol, where it could never return except without a miracle. So that's one of the reasons that Jesus delayed his coming to Lazarus, because it had to be noted among the scholars and the skeptics that it was a miracle. Okay. Jewish mysticism teaches that the deceased person's spirit remains around the body for up to 3 days. After death, before departing, it is well known in Israel 2,000 years ago that someone deceased could come back to life during this 3-day period, but not afterwards. Okay. Some of the scholars say that Jesus was at the Festival of Lights before he came to Lazarus. That's not what some of the scriptures say. Some of the scriptures say that he was on the east side of Jordan when he heard about Lazarus being sick. The east side of Jordan is where John the Baptist did his baptisms. So Jesus was revisiting where he was baptized. He was about 2 days away. That's about 2 days away. Now there's 3 different names for that festival. The Festival of Lights, the Feast of Dedication, and we know it as Hanukkah. So in the Bible, it's referred to different things, but it's nice to know that it starts usually on or about December the 15th. This was a little early because Lazarus was raised in late February before Jesus' crucifixion in April. Okay? So Jesus is 2 days away, and they bring word that Lazarus is sick. Okay? A couple of more. The name Lazarus has its roots in Hebrew from Eleazar, which means God will help. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty neat. Lazarus' name means God will help. Okay. Now the word Bethany, where Lazarus lives, means place of affliction. Now after this, Jesus retreats or retires to Ephraim. Now Ephraim is a boy's name in the Hebrew from Eleazar, which translates God will help. No, that's Lazarus, sorry. Its Hebrew origin translates to fruitful. Fruitful. Now, Ephraim was the second born of Joseph. Okay? The firstborn was Manasseh. Now, how did Joseph's 2 sons become tribes in Israel? What happened was Joseph adopted them. In fact, Jacob adopted them. Sorry. They both start with a J. I'm close. But Jacob adopted them because Joseph was his favorite son. And Jacob wanted them to be one of the tribes. But what was really cool is Joseph tried to manipulate it because Jacob's blind, okay? And he's going to bless Joseph's children. So Joseph puts Manasseh on the right and Ephraim on the left so that Jacob will bless the right one first, the oldest one. But Jacob messed things up. Jacob's one of these guys that listen to God. So Jacob crosses his hands and he puts his right hand on Ephraim and his left hand on Manasseh. So Ephraim got the blessing of the firstborn. And it's because he was fruitful. He had lots of kids. He had a big tribe. In fact, the northern tribe of Israel was referred to a number of times as Ephraim because there was such a great tribe. Now, later on, Ephraim and Manasseh disappear as tribes because remember the time of Jonah? He didn't want to go to Nineveh. That's because the Nineveh is the capital of the Assyrians. And the Assyrians had just come into northern Israel during Jonah's time and wiped out Ephraim and Manasseh. In fact, they took them all captive and took them somewhere else. That's what the Assyrians did. They would take a land that they captured, take all the people and move them to another land, and then take another population and bring it in. That's why Ephraim later on becomes Samaria. Okay? Now Jesus is retreating. After this, he retreats to Samaria because he's trying to stave off the contract that's been imposed on his life by the Pharisees. The Garden of Gethsemane. So I postulate that the reason that Lazarus and Martha and Mary were searching to get friends of Jesus is that all the many times that he came to the Garden of Gethsemane, that's where he stayed. He stayed with them. And it says we'll get to it in a minute, one of the disciples says, are we going there again? You know, the Jews are out to kill you. We're going to go there again? Because they knew that's where Jesus hung out. So now we're going to go into John 11. I'm going to read through this, and I'm going to stop and cover some things as we go. Any questions so far? Okay, you ready? All right. John 11. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary, who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Now there's a very interesting story, if you want to look it up, about the oil that she anointed his feet with. Very interesting if you will go research that. Okay? I'm not going to go into it now. We got too much to cover. Therefore the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. Now I want you to get this, that all she said that he was sick. All right? Now it took a day to get there to tell Jesus. Okay, when Jesus heard that, he said, the sickness is not unto death. This is prophecy number 1. Okay? Jesus is prophesying this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of Man, the Son of God, may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was, and that was on the east side of the Jordan. Okay? If you want to, there's lots of speculation. So I assume it was that close. Then after this, he said to his disciples, let's go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and you're going there again? So they're worried about him, okay? And he's secluded on the east side of the Jordan because it's a desert. That's where John the Baptist lived, in the desert over there. I always picture John the Baptist. They said he ate locusts and honey, and he had a beard. And I can just see the legs of the grasshopper stuck in his mustache. We probably wouldn't have stopped to give him a donation at all if he'd been standing on a street corner. Okay. So, we'll get down here. Then after he said, let's go to Jordan again, and then they were saying, we can't go there again. They're out to get you. They've got a contract on you. Jesus said, now this is very interesting. If you read it quickly, you will miss this. Okay? Jesus answered, said, are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. Now listen to this second one. But if he walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. He's saying if the light's in you, you don't stumble at night. He's not saying, he switched from daylight to the spiritual light. If you read that quickly, you will miss this. It says, but if one walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. If the light is in you, you do not stumble at night. That's what he's saying here.